What is up, gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. On today's episode, I'll be running you through the importance and specifically how to speak with more authority and to speak more clearly. Ultimately, we will be covering 4 key categories of speaking more clearly, more concisely, and doing so in a way that commands authority, respect, and gets your points across in a way that is effective and concise. I want to start off by elaborating on why. Why is this something that you should be pouring your time and attention into? Why do we want to communicate more effectively? Look at it this way. You are positioned in this world and you're surrounded by people. The ways in which you communicate and the depth by which you're able to communicate effectively is going to have a heavy impact on the results that you're able to achieve in life in terms of how you're able to cooperate with others, how you're able to get your messages across to others. At the end of the day, we're not living in an isolated vacuum. We live in societies that require us to cooperate effectively with others in order to thrive, in order to get things done on a day-to-day basis. Communication is key, and I'm not only going to be running you through what I believe are the key tenets of effective communication, which are going to be covered by better enunciation, speaking more concisely, speaking more clearly, and speaking with depth and authority. And I'll be looking at why each of these 4 key steps is essential, how it's going to have an actual effect in your day-to-day, and what steps you can take in order to practice and to ameliorate and to strengthen these parts of your speech. Let's start off with the first key tenet of effective communication, which is proper enunciation. Enunciation is the act of pronouncing your words correctly and clearly. And why is this something that you should hold tremendous importance to? First of all, if you're speaking in a way where your tongue is relaxed and you're unable to accurately and properly pronounce the words that you intend on saying, then chances are your rate of being misunderstood is going to go way, way up. Just remember the last time that you've spoken with someone and their speech is just so relaxed and it's so extremely lazy. Those people that seem like they're chewing on something as they're talking to you, they're talking like this and they can barely be understood. This is just lazy. And immediately you can sense off of this person that they're not someone that you can take seriously. And you honestly don't even understand what they're saying half the time. Pronunciation and enunciation give you the best possible chance to be understood correctly. So what can you do in order to be enunciated in a better manner? Well, obviously, practice makes perfect. Speaking in front of the camera, speaking in front of people regularly will help, but also consider practicing tongue twisters. There's a ton that are out there, and just a few that you can consider doing are something like Peter Piper pecked a pickled pepper. A peck of pickled peppers was pecked by Peter Piper. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many peppers did Peter Piper pick? Even right now, when I'm not quite warmed up, this is quite a challenge, but these tongue twisters and many others will allow you to enunciate effectively and watch the people and those around you react positively. They'll understand you better. You have to explain yourself less and less because you're just getting it done correctly the first time. Number 2 is to speak more clearly. This is slightly different than enunciation because speaking clearly also comes down to the topics, the words that you use, and not only how you use these words, but the way in which you say them. So it's a mixture of language and proper enunciation. You need to be able to say every syllable of the word as it needs to be said. To say things clearly also means to deliver your message in the purest and most direct form. Why is this something that you want to do? The ways in which you communicate yourself is going to have a tremendous impact on the results that you're able to achieve in your life. Every single thing that you want to perform, every single action you wish to take that is going to require others, is going to require you at some point or another to lead others, to instruct others, to communicate with others. The more clearly you can use your words and the stronger message you can get across with these words by using the right words and pronouncing them correctly and saying them to their fullest advantage, well, the closer and more effectively you're going to be able to get to your end desired result. So how can we as men actually practice more clear and effective communication? In general, this comes down to how often you speak, especially in front of larger crowds. If I look back at my YouTube journey, if I look back at the earlier days, I remember the first 100 videos, not even the first 10 or 20 videos. were a complete disaster. There's so many parts of my speech that was superfluous, that was not needed. There's words that I would pronounce and mispronounce, and words that I would chew up. In general, you just need to put the reps in. You need to have the consistency every single day. And it could be as simple as creating and going through dictation exercises. Take a complicated paragraph and just read it out loud. If you go on YouTube, there's a ton of dictation exercises that are specifically geared towards helping you to improve your speech. Go through these once, twice a day, 5, 10 minutes every single day. And then when you feel more comfortable, put a camera on. That mental block of feeling flustered when you put yourself in front of a camera, doing these exercises will allow you to overcome that mental hurdle. And then you just take a natural step from each direction until you find yourself on a roll, until you find yourself finding your natural voice, and until you find yourself truly speaking clearly and enunciating your words with perfection day in and day out. One thing to note about speaking clearly is also you need to master the art of inflection, of using different tonalities in your speech to emphasize certain parts of your speech. If you look at a great orator, if you look at anyone who is a great communicator, this is someone who knows when to punch up parts of his speech and when to tone down, when to relax. This comes with time, this comes with effort, this comes with an understanding that communication is music. The way you speak, your voice can be your biggest instrument. Learn how to play it well. Learn how to make others love the sound of this instrument. Number 3 is to learn how to speak with authority and depth. Ultimately, this means that when you speak, you are conveying 2 very important characteristics. Number 1 is going to be confidence in your speech, and 2 is authenticity. Confidence is when your speech comes from a deeply rooted place, where you know that you have what it takes to back up the content of what you are saying. 2, authenticity as well comes from the very nature of where you bring up your words. You know when you're speaking inauthentically and when you're speaking authentically. There's a sensation in your body that manifests itself when you're speaking inauthentically. You almost tend to speak from a localized area that is within the head. Your speech feels light. It feels thin. It lacks the depth that it needs. When you speak authentically, you speak from the center of your core. That text, that speech, those vocals come from a deeper and more rooted place in your body. And this is what it means to speak with authority and depth. How can you actually practice speaking with authority and depth? Ultimately, this comes with time and practice. It comes with also building a character of a person that is able to convey his or her thoughts in a way that is authoritative. And this comes with just building the right kind of character, putting in the work, putting in the time and the effort to build a personality that is worth listening to. And why do you want to do this? Why would you want to speak with authority and depth? Ultimately, this comes down to your ability to influence and to guide others around you in order to achieve the results and the goals that you need. The kind of person that is unable to speak confidently, that is unable to speak authoritatively, will be unable to lead those, will be unable to make their dent in the universe in a way that makes sense, in a way that is true to their heart's desire. So learn to speak with authority and depth and watch others respond to you. Last but definitely not least is the art of speaking concisely. What is speaking concisely? In my opinion, this is the selective and effective usage of words to convey the complete message in as little energy as possible. Why is speaking concisely something that is important? There's 2 key reasons. Number 1 is to conserve your very precious energy. You can get more done if you use the energy that you have in more effective ways. Think about how much more you can get done from a communication standpoint if you're able to achieve better results with saying fewer words. Also, consider the person in front of you. At the end of the day, as humans, we have limited attention spans. Others that are in front of you also have limited energy expenditure. So give them the information they need in as concise a way as possible. And if all roads lead to Rome, then why not take the path that is more effective and will get you there in the most efficient way possible? And then lastly, how can one practice? How can one become more concise in their speech? Well, number 1, and this may seem counterintuitive, is to listen more. In a conversation, it's important that you take a step back and you're able to slow things down and listen to the person in front of you. Gather all relevant information. Of course, active listening doesn't just mean to listen for the sake of speaking next. It means to listen in order to truly understand the person in front of you and the points that they're making. That way, when you do respond, you're responding in ways and using as few words as possible to just get the job done. Those who just keep speaking on and on with superfluous use of words are unable to achieve the desired results. They end up just using their energy unnecessarily, and at the same time, they're not able to give the person in front of them a true reflection of what that person has just said to them because they weren't listening. And now they're just saying words for the sake of saying words. I'm sure you've been in situations before where meetings just go on, and people are not necessarily speaking to each other. They're just talking at each other. They're opening their mouths and words come out, and there's just this weird dance with zero efficacy, with zero purpose, with zero rhyme or reason. And this is the downfall if you're unable to speak concisely. To recap quickly, the 4 key tenets of speaking with authority in depth is: number 1, to speak concisely; 2, to speak clearly; 3, to enunciate your words correctly; and 4, to speak from a deeply rooted place that is able to project confidence and depth in everything that you do and ultimately everything that you say. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode and you enjoyed the practicality of this episode, I highly recommend you go out, test some of these tips and tricks into the world. And if you feel that they have given you value, please come back, consider smashing a massive thumbs up. Let me know how that experience went for you. Communication is extremely important, and I look back at the days where I just felt that I could not communicate myself in a way that I wanted to, and it felt so incredibly frustrating. This is where I discovered the power of communication and effective speech, and I promise you, if you embrace it as well, watch it transform your day-to-day life, watch it transform all areas of your life and allow you to achieve the things that you wish to achieve. So guys, from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Until next week, we'll speak soon.